Well, welcome everybody back to the Flying Doghouse. Today we're going to continue with episode 2 of the I Wish Someone Would Have Told Me That series. So we're going to take a look at this in Microsoft Flight Sim 2024. Handling the cameras, I think, is a little bit different. But we're going to focus on this, and hopefully you'll be able to apply what you learn here over the 2020. So really, your cameras is your way of being able to see things in the sim, and I think it's a highly personal, approach that people need to take in order to be able to successfully complete their camera assignments. So we're going to look at using the keyboard, and then certainly you can later on explore mapping that to your throttle or your joystick or your game controller, whichever you prefer. But I'm going to take the tack of using the keyboard for this particular video. So let's go ahead and switch over into the sim. Okay, so we are on the controls page from settings. And we're going to have a look at cameras. So I think the easiest way to do this is to use the search box here at the top, in the top middle of the page. And I'm going to type in camera. So what we're particularly interested in is load custom camera 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is how you switch between the views. And this is how I chose to map my key commands. So I'm using the right control key on my keyboard and then the numpad. So the numbers on the numpad are how I'm accomplishing this. So at any rate, I went through and mapped each one to my particular preference setting, and we'll roll through those. But that's the viewing part. So the other piece to making this, I think, reusable and effective for yourself. Let me scroll down here. Is this save custom camera settings. So if I get a new airplane, then I'm going to use the numpad again, but I'm also using the number on the numpad and the enter key in conjunction with each other to actually save the particular view that I'm looking at. So again, it's a two-part process. And once you're in the cockpit, what you need to do is get familiar with moving the camera around and getting it positioned where you want to, quote, save the view. So we're going to use the Avro Lancaster just so that you can see, how this particular thing works. And I have also done the same thing with the fixed cameras outside. So I'm using the right Alt key in conjunction with the numpad. And you can configure these in a way that makes sense to you. But I think having sort of that right-hand quadrant of the keyboard being designated for this kind of activity at least made sense to me. Okay, so with this in mind, we're going to switch over to the cockpit in the Lancaster so that you can see what this experience looks like. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, so we're back over at Duxford in our parking place in the Lancaster. Okay, so if you remember from the previous screen, I stated that I was using the control keys to change my camera views. So I'm going to hold down the control key on my keyboard and just kind of roll through the settings that I have established for the Lancaster. And it's got different cockpit positions too. So you're going to see radio navigation station. You're going to see the tail gunner. You're going to see the bombardier position. But anyway, this is how I set up the Lancaster. So control 1, which is a slight panoramic, right? So it gives me a little bit more visual in terms of the gauges in the cockpit, but also gives me a point of view that kind of works for me in terms of takeoffs and landings. So that's what control 1 is doing for me. Control 2 is a slight angle, right, to be able to see across the cockpit. Control 3, sort of a zoom in on gauges. Control 4. So this is our radio navigation station. Don't have 5 mapped. Number 6 is going to be all of our engine gauges. So our co-pilot flight engineer role would be monitoring these gauges and interacting with this panel. There's 7 is going to take us to the turret gunner. Control 8 is going to take us to the bombardier station. Control 9 is going to take us to the tail gunner. So that's how I have the cockpit cameras set up for this particular aircraft. So the nice thing about having the keyboard sequence mapped for creating your custom cameras by using enter and then 0 through 9 is I can go through those same set of steps for any aircraft. So I'm not having to relearn how to do that. I'm not having to go in and edit files, etc. in the sim. I'm just doing it from the keyboard. So it creates a bit of a repeatable process. So if you have a lot of different airplanes that you're flying, it's going to be useful to you because your points of view are going to need to be flexed a little bit depending on whether or not you've got instrumentation above you in the cockpit or not, and how much instrumentation is to your right or to the left or in the floorboard. So I just found that this is a useful method for me to be able to do that. So let's go outside and kind of run through the same thing with the Alt keys. All right, the Alt 1 in the Lancaster takes you to the bomb bay. Alt 2, off the wing. Alt 3, Alt 4. Get to see the crew members here on the ground. Alt 6, close up of the one of the looks like the inboard left engine here. 7 is a nose shot. And we'll press the escape key. Okay, so that takes care of at least what you might consider in terms of how you would want to potentially configure your cameras. So I hope that's helpful. I think in another video when we're actually going in and making modifications to some of these settings, we'll actually walk through the workflow steps, but they're pretty simple. So just as an overview, you go back to the controls page, and then you're going to need to create a new custom profile, and then you'll be able to to save your changes, right? So that's how I set up, enter 0, enter 1, enter 2, enter 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 on the numpad, and that's how I map those on the controls section. So we'll come back and revisit that later, but I want to keep this particular portion of the video focused on what you might want to try to accomplish with the cameras. So hopefully that will be helpful, and it will serve as a kickstart for you on setting those cameras up. Okay, so now we're back at the world map here, and I thought that to finish up this particular video, we could go into the settings and then look at some of the things that are available to you as far as assistance to make the flight sim experience congruent with your level of experience or your desires. So this may be a section of the sim that you haven't really explored. So at any rate, we're going to go up in the upper right hand corner and click on the gear. And this is going to take us to general, right? So this is where in our previous segment we were actually in the control section here. So that's how you get to controls. You click on the gear in the upper right hand corner, right? But for the assistance, and if you're new, right, and you're trying to figure out how an airplane works, cut on auto rudder and assist yoke and auto trim. Get your controlled flight kind of experience under your belt, and then turn those off, and then start experimenting with the yoke and the rudder being more sensitive and more realistic, right? If you're brand new to helicopters, there are some controls here as well, right? So you can have the sim help you out with using the tail rotor and the collective and the cyclic if you are trying to figure out how to fly a helicopter. Okay, there's some settings here for the hot air balloon. And then there are realism settings here below, right? So you can disable crash damage, disable aircraft stress damage, and engine stress damage, and leaving those off for a bit while you're trying to learn how to fly, I think is certainly appropriate, right? You can turn icing on or off. You can have unlimited fuel if you so choose. Again, make this learning process a little bit easier on yourself, right? So try it for a while with the assistance turned on high, if you will, right? So turn them on, and then gradually turn them off as you build up your proficiency. So I think that's important for you as well. And also having on the AI built-in ATC, I think, is important too as you're getting started. Right, because you'll start getting used to the phraseology that is used and is expected from the air traffic control side, and also from a piloting perspective as well. So, at any rate, take advantage of that. Okay, so I don't want these particular videos to be extremely long, so I think we're going to call it here, and then we will pick back up because there certainly is not a shortage of topics. Speaking of topics, if you have a topic that you're interested in us covering on the channel, use the comment section below. Let me know, and we will take a look at doing a video on that particular subject matter. All right, if you haven't already done so, please like and subscribe. Love to have you as a channel member. Also comment. All those fun things help us out here on the channel. But I'm going to leave it here. And I do hope that everybody is keeping well. And as always, until next time, cheers, y'all.